students, welcome to the lecture series on industrial relations and labor laws. We will continue our discussion on Introduction to Industrial Relations, and this is part 4. I am Professor Soma Gupta, Kamla Nehru College, University of Delhi. In this lecture, we will discuss the industrial relations policy in India. So, to talk about the industrial relations policy, which was derived in India over the years, and it is the philosophy and content which was derived from many material. One was the directive principles of state policy as laid down in the constitution. Also the planned documents that formed part of the industrial relation policy, the various 5-year plans, the industrial policy resolution, all these were the material from which the industrial relations policy was derived. Now, this policy has been evolving in response to the specific needs of the situation, the requirements of the planned economic development, social policies and industrial peace in the country post independence till date. Now, it is the product of a tripartite consultation also. In the previous chapter, previous lecture, we have said that discussed the tripartite bodies. So, here we mean the 3 parties like the labor, management and the state. The aim of IR policy are to promote harmonious relations between labor and management, and this is the basis of IR policy. This will improve production and working conditions, which will benefit both the workers as well as the employers. Second is to promote the interest of the community at large. So, when good IR will be there, then production will be higher, then the community as a whole will gain, since the incomes will be higher, the standard of living will be higher, there will be peace and growth. The industrial relation policy of the government enunciated in the various 5-year plans also. So, a discussion on the 5-year plans and its impact on the industrial relation policy is imperative. So, it incorporates principles and guidelines for the prevention and resolution of disputes. So, 2 main ideas are there for preventing disputes and for resolving disputes. A large number of voluntary measures that is taken and it has evolved over the years are helpful as measures to prevent dispute. Then for resolving the disputes, comprehensive legislative measures are there like the Industrial Disputes Act. Guidelines for maintaining workers-employer relationships were also, it has also emerged over the years. So, the policy aims at these 2 things, that is preventing disputes and resolving disputes. Also, there was the second industrial truce resolution on November 3, 1962, and which states that no effort shall be spared to achieve the maximum production, and management and workers will strive in collaboration in all possible ways to promote the defense efforts of the country. Now, the preamble of the constitution and the chapter on directive principles of state policy also enunciated the elements of labor policy. The successive 5-year plans since 1951, you know that there are 12 5-year plans. After that, it became the planning commission was dissolved and Niti Aayog came into picture. So, these successive 5-year plans since 1951 clearly enunciated the directions of industrial relation policies. These entail the building up of industrial democracy also in keeping with the requirements of the socialist society which sought to be established through the parliamentary form of government. So, all these industrial relation policies are in tune with what our constitution envisages, as the preamble states that India need to be developed as in a socialistic pattern of society. So, this all these philosophies are in sync with what the constitution is stating. Now, let us discuss in detail the industrial relation policy during the 5-year plans. So, beginning with the first 5-year plan 1951 to 1956. Now, it was the post independence era, and that this was the first 5-year plan. Here the approach to labor problem was based on two considerations. First is the requirements of the well-being of the working class, and second to its vital contribution to the economic stability and progress of the country. So, both the things are important, the benefit of the working class as well as the stability and progress of the country. Now, the 5-year plan considered the worker as a principal instrument in the fulfillment of the targets of the plan and in the achievement of economic progress. The plan stated that harmonious relations between capital and labor are essential for the realization of the plan in the industrial sector. So, workers considered as principal instrument, and harmonious relationship between capital, that is the management, and the labor was emphasized. The plan also emphasized that workers' right of association, organization and collective bargaining should be accepted as the fundamental basis of the mutual relationship. So, it means that they were positive about formation of trade unions. So, trade unions should be welcomed and helped to function as a part and parcel of industrial system. Coming to the second 5-year plan. So, the second much of whatever was said in regard to industrial relations in the first plan was reiterated in the second plan also. It considered a strong trade union movement to be necessary both for safeguarding the interests of the labor and for realizing the targets of the of production. So, the plan document reported major weaknesses in a number of existing unions. So, unions were facing the different problems like multiplicity of trade unions. So, if there are multiple trade unions, then the management do not enter into negotiation with any one of them. So, who will be considered as, which union will be considered as the representative union, that was a problem. Then second was the political rivalries between the unions. Third was lack of resources, which is still there, because to become a member of a trade union you need to spend a very minimal amount. So, they are not getting money from subscription also. Disunity in the ranks of the workers was another problem. So, these weaknesses were identified in the second 5-year plan. So, the plan emphasized importance of preventive measures for achieving industrial peace, avoidance of disputes at all levels, increased association of labor with management. Coming to the third 5-year plan, that is 1961 to 1966. Now, this third plan expressed great hopes in the voluntary approach initiated during the second plan to give a more positive orientation to industrial relations based on moral rather than legal sanctions. So, they emphasize that legal sanctions or legislations are not enough for a positive orientation in industrial relation. Some voluntary approach is needed from both ends like management and labor. So, the plan recommended need for application of the principle of voluntary arbitration in resolving worker-employer differences. Government should take the initiative in drawing up panels of arbitrators on a regional and industry-wise basis. The plan also recommended the works committees should be strengthened and made an active agency for the democratic administration of labor markets. Coming to the fourth 5-year plan 1969 to 1974. Now, the fourth plan suggested no changes in the system of regulating labor relations by legislative and voluntary arrangements started from earlier plans. So, they in a way they were positive about whatever reforms, whatever legislations were enacted during the last 5 year plans, and attention to employment and training was placed in this plan. Strengthening, it suggested strengthening labor administration for better enforcement of labor laws, research in labor laws, expansion of training programs for labor officers. So, the plan emphasized development of workers and their knowledge and research in this field. The fifth 5 year plan, 1974 to 1979. Now, this plan laid great emphasis on employment both in rural and urban sectors. After the promulgation of emergency in June 1975, the government devised a new pattern of bipartite consultative process in an attempt to create a climate of healthy industrial relations. So, the focus was on two parties, that is the management and workers. Healthy IR led to increased production by reducing layoffs, retrenchment, closures, strikes, lockouts. The new machinery sought to formulate policies at the national, state and industry level for the speedy resolution of industrial conflicts and for promoting industrial harmony. Also, the fifth 5 year plan was the phase of emergency. The government of India through a resolution adopted a scheme of workers' participation in industry at shop and plant level, and this was signed on 30th October 1975. Coming to the sixth 5 year plan, that is 1980 to 1985. The plan emphasized importance of cooperative attitude on the part of employers and employees for the maintenance of healthy industrial relations. Strike and lockout should be resorted to only in the last stage. One should remember that during the late 70s and early 80s, these were the turbulent years, and there were industrial strife all over, especially in Bombay, the present day Mumbai, where the cotton mills of Bombay, they went for a strike for a year. It was a year long strike, and the mandates, innumerable number of mandates were lost because of that. So, this 6th year plan emphasized cooperation between employers and employees. Also, effective arrangements be made for the settlement of inter-union disputes and to discourage unfair practices and irresponsible conduct. Growth of trade unions on healthy lines was emphasized. The social obligations and roles of trade unions in many areas of nation building activities and in improving the quality of life of workers was also suggested. The necessary changes in the existing laws on trade unions, industrial relations and standing orders for promoting harmonious industrial relations was also the focus of 6th 5-year plan. Coming to the 7th 5-year plan, that is 1986 to 1991. The thrust of the 7th plan was on improvement in capacity utilization, efficiency and productivity. So, the plan stated a sound policy for tackling industrial sickness in future has to be evolved, which while protecting the interest of labor would also take into account the fact that government cannot bear the huge burden of losses. So, why this statement was there? Because during that phase many of the industries were becoming sick, and government needed to take all the effort to bear the burden of these sick industries and to revive those sick industries. And that is why they talked about avoiding industrial sickness and improving the capacity building or productivity of the organization. The scope for improvement in industrial relations, which would obviate the need for strikes and the justification of lockouts, was also emphasized. The proper management of industrial relations, the responsibility of unions and employees has to be identified, and inter-union rivalry and intra-union divisions should be avoided. Coming to the 8th 5-year plan. According to the 8th plan, labor participation in management is a means for bringing about a state of industrial democracy. So, the emphasis of 8th plan was on workers' participation in management and maintenance of industrial democracy. Ever since independence, the government has been stressing the need to introduce workers' participation in management, and various schemes were notified from time to time. However, the results have fallen far short of expectations. So, a suitable legislation for effective implementation of the workers' participation in management scheme, proper education and training of workers was needed. Cooperation from both employers and employees to overcome problems arising out of the existence of multiplicity of trade unions and inter-union rivalry for promoting participative management was necessary. Coming to the 9th 5-year plan, 1997 to 2002. So, according to this plan, the planning process attempts to create conditions for improvement in labor productivity and provision of social security to supplement the operations of the labor market. So, the plan devoted resources towards skill formation and development, exchange of information on job opportunities, monitoring of working conditions, creation of industrial harmony, insurance against disease and unemployment for the workers and their families. Surplus labor, it was observed by a planning commission that surplus labor was there. Employment of most of the workers in the unorganized sector of the economy was there. So, these twin problems were there. Also, there were unhealthy social practices like bonded labor existed till that time. Child labor problem was there. Adverse working conditions faced by migrant labor. So, these were the observations of planning commission, and they tried to sort it out. The 10th plan was 2002 to 2007, and the 10th plan focused on vocational training and skill building, social security for vulnerable groups in labor force, institutions of industrial relations like labor laws for rural establishment. The 11th plan, that is 2007 to 2012, and the 12th plan 2012 to 2017 were there. The same trend which was there in the 11th plan continued in the 10th plan was continued in 11th plan, and the 12th plan focused on human resource development, job creation and social protection. So, the 12th plan aimed at compliance to the labor laws and simplifying the laws, improving industry workforce relationship, one union in one industry policy to avoid the multiplicity of union problem. Strong institutions supporting workers' participation, more state intervention to promote healthy industrial relations. Now, coming to the next heading, that is government role in industrial relations. Now, government's role in enacting labor laws for protecting and promoting the interest of labor and management is a very well known and phenomena in all countries of the world. So, if we talk about the nature of government's approach to IR, it is dependent on the type of dominant political party's ideology or the ruling government's ideology, the relative power or authority of the trade unions, the degree of state intervention allowed in a particular country. In India particularly, after independence, the government has been playing a comprehensive and dominant role in shaping the pattern of industrial relations, since it is promulgating different acts, forming different tripartite bodies to maintain industrial peace. In the mixed economy of our country, the state has emerged as a big employer. So, that is another good thing, that still we have many areas, many sectors where government is the employer. So, a strong government employment sector is there. So, government jobs are there. So, where the better IR situation is there. The government evolves through tripartite forums, the norms of standards which are in nature of guidelines shaping employer-employee relations. It accepts the responsibility of ensuring conformity to these norms through the administrative and judicial mechanism. It enacts legislation also on labor and implements both the substantive and procedural laws. The industrial relation policy of the government forms part of broader labor policy. So, all these attempts are being done by the government. We will discuss the government role in industrial relations in detail in the next lecture. So, let us summarize what we have studied in this lecture. The aims of industrial relation policy are to promote harmonious relations between labor and management in order to improve production and working conditions and to promote the interests of the community at large. IR policy for preventing disputes include a large number of voluntary measures which have been evolved by the state. For resolving disputes, IR policy includes comprehensive legislative measures and guidelines for maintaining workers-employer relationship. The preamble of the constitution and the chapter on directive principles of state policy enunciated the elements of the labor policy. So, the industrial relation policy is derived from different documents like the preamble of the Constitution of India as well as the directive principles of state policy. Also, the successive 5-year plans since 1951 clearly enunciated the direction of industrial relation policy. So, if we have covered the 12 5-year plans in this lecture, and we have seen how the emphasis of first plan and the last plan was quite different, because initially we talked more about the maintenance of labor management relationship, but later we talked more about industrial democracy and whereby and also industrial peace. So, this has a repercussion on the industrial relation policy of each of those era. I believe you have understood the topic well. Also, the government's role we have discussed in enacting various labor laws for protecting and promoting the interest of labor and management, and this is a very well known phenomena in most of the countries. In India, after independence, the government has been playing a dominant role in shaping the pattern of industrial relations, and also the government is a biggest employer in our country. So, they ensure good IR practices over there. We will discuss the government's role in detail in our next lecture. For your reference, there are certain books and websites, you can go through them. One is PRN, Sinha and others. This is Industrial Relations, Trade Unions and Labour Legislation, Pearson publication. Then P.K. Padhi, Industrial Relations, Prentice Hall of India publication. E-Gyankosh website is also there, which is covering this topic very well. You can go through that website as well. I believe you have understood all the topics that we have studied or discussed in this lecture. Have a nice day and have a very good read also. Thank you, students.